Hold on for a second. What's up, YouTube family? I would like you guys to make sure you like and subscribe to our video. It would help us get into the algorithms so we could be seen and bring more engaging content to you guys. So like I said, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Appreciate you. And welcome to another edition of the Pick and Downs podcast. I'm your host per usual, Sean Tyson, here with Zoo and P-Bush. How you fellas doing?
I'm doing well, man. Kind of a boring game on Sunday, but made a lot of money on that game. It was absolutely beautiful. Thank you to FanDuel. Thank you, Mr. AJ Barner. First anytime touchdown scorer. Needed that, and FanDuel was giving out the jackpot bonus as well. Who knew, Zoo? One $10 bet could turn, or two $10 bets could turn into a nice little $450, man. Unbelievable. It was beautiful. But hey, man, we're done with the NFL season. It's crazy to say. It feels like we were 5 months ago just talking about week one, and snap your fingers and we're here.
Yeah, honestly, like this Sunday, I didn't think it had the juice, the hype. You know what I mean? The hype that previous Super Bowls had. Like, I don't know if just me a little biased against these teams. They're a little of these underdog teams making it, but not gonna lie, the lack of hype was well deserved in this game because I don't know about you guys, but I did get a little bored, and it got a little action packed in the fourth quarter, but in the first three quarters, a whole lot of nothing happened. That's all I gotta say. A whole lot of nothing, man. A whole lot of nothing, but it was still a great NFL season to recap it. But the ending was not what I projected to be, like type of scoring.
Yeah, the amount of field goals, the amount of in that first, like you said, three quarters of just like not even completing slant passes, not even getting like curl routes completed. It was a lot of just like quarterbacks running for their lives and defenses pretty much. It's almost like the defensive guys or coordinators knew they had the playbook and they had all the plays in order because it just felt like there was no rhythm going. So combining that with also, to your point, just no star power with the quarterbacks. Because if you do look at the personalities of both of the guys, they're just neither of them are dynamic. Drake May is very stoic, very chill. And Sam Darnold almost feels like he's a little bit more pressed and just like, he's like, okay, let's just kind of get through the moment. Because again, he's been through a lot. So I don't know. I mean, Seattle has been there before. Patriots, it's pretty much is the standard in football. So the brands are strong enough. It just, I think it just speaks more to the fact of like when you don't have those dynamic personalities in the Super Bowl, it kind of goes. And I will say, like, and this may just be my East Coast bias, but it does feel different. Like LA is LA, but like anytime you're having a Super Bowl on the West Coast and it's not LA, it kind of does feel a little, like I almost feel like it's you're kind of just. And I know that sounds awful to the people who are in the Western time zone, but it's just the reality. The fact, like most of what people are basing schedules on is over here on the East Coast with football. So maybe that was the reason why I was a drag too, but I don't know. But I will say the Super Bowl always delivers in terms of just storylines throughout the game that are for football people only. So people, what were some of the things that you took from Seattle actually winning the Super Bowl?
No, I know today Mike Vrabel came out and said that Will Campbell is not going to be moved to a different position group in the offensive line. That's just a dumbass decision by Mr. Vrabel. I get it. You don't want to blast your rookie dude, going to be entering his second year this coming season, right off of the biggest game of his life so far that he got absolutely obliterated. And that was the key. I mean, Mike McDonald put on an absolute game planning clinic. And I know Kubiak is the mastermind of that offense. Now we'll be going out to Vegas, which we can talk about that once fantasy football season comes around in a few months, gentlemen, because Kubiak getting his running backs involved, Gentry's going to be very interesting out there in Vegas next year. But obviously, McDonald as the head coach, even though he's obviously a defensive mastermind, he's working with Kubiak, probably putting up defenses that he thought the Patriots might want to play in practice so that the, Seattle offense would be ready for what was coming at them. And I think, looking at what the Patriots game planned for on the defensive side, they were pretty much like, hey, beat us with anybody except JSN. Because let's be honest, JSN had an extremely quiet game. I think he only had, 4 catches for maybe 30 yards. But What they didn't ask, what Seattle did not ask their team to do was completely rely on Sam Darnold. We all talked about this during our Super Bowl preview. As long as Sam didn't turn the ball over, he didn't have to do too much. I think he only had maybe 50% completion percentage, but that's fine. He didn't turn the ball over. He made some big throws when he had to. That touchdown catch to Barner was obviously huge. Obviously, he got Cooper Kupp heavily involved. I think we were all, Sean, I know you and I were on that in the parlays with Cooper Kupp, taking the attention going heavily towards JSN. Rashid Shaheed got involved as well. But, man, the MVP for a reason was Kenneth Walker. I mean, they gave the man 27 carries at 5 yards a carry. Take away that holding penalty at the end of the game, and he had the game easily icing and for sure locking himself as the MVP on that touchdown run that got called back for a holding penalty. But everyone still knew at that point the game was over. Darnold, like I said, he didn't put up an MVP performance, but he didn't lose them the game or put them in a position to lose the game. And the lights got a little too bright for Drake May, man. I've been trying to say this all playoffs, but a team finally proved me right in a sense, man. He's had an absolute cupcake schedule all year. And here's the thing. Yes, he played very good defenses in this playoff run. The Steelers, very good. I think they started to lose a little bit of their luster towards the second half of the season on the defensive side of the ball. But the issue all year, and mostly in the playoffs, was their offensive line. I know I started it with Will Campbell, but it was the entirety of that left side of the offensive line. The Seahawks did not have to blitz them pretty much. I mean, they did blitz a little bit, but not as much. They were getting to him with 4 dudes. They sacked him 6 times. That's exactly what we said the game plan needed to be on the Seattle side. He only rushed the ball a few times. I think he had a couple decent runs, but mostly in the fourth quarter there. But, I just think Drake May was getting bailed out by his defense all playoffs, and not bailed out in the sense that he wasn't having decent numbers, but he was turning the ball over so much that he needed his defense to come in and be the difference maker in a lot of those games. And we all talked about it. You take away that pick 6 against the Texans, man, that game is a 5-point game. I mean, that is a huge turnaround. And then obviously, Bo Nix going down, breaking his ankle and not being able to play in the AFC Championship game. Do the Broncos play the Seahawks better than the Patriots did? Probably. I really think that, just because of Sean Payton more than anything. But also just Bo's a little bit more mature as a player. I know they're the same draft class, but just age in general, the amount of football that he's seen, big games that he's seen as well. Drake May, remember, he didn't have that many big games in North Carolina, man. He's not playing at Auburn.
He did not.
So, Drake May, dude, I expect him to come out and throw for a Stafford game of 303 touchdowns to, no, absolutely not. The Seattle defense was impeccable, probably the best defensive performance that I've ever seen in a Super Bowl by far. And hats off to him, man. They were the most complete team all year, and I think we would all agree with that. They got very lucky with injuries. I mean, the fact that they were able to maintain, and I'll go back to this one more time, the Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker dynamic really paid off as the season went on. I know Charbonnet got injured, but it was late enough in the season where Kenneth Walker still did not have to take the full workload as a running back until the playoffs came. And that it paid off, and he's going to get paid now. I think they'll probably let Charbonnet walk, and someone's going to get the best backup running back in the league. You could argue Tyler Algier as well, but they're very similar players. I think they'll have to sign Kenneth Walker at this point, unless he asks for too much money. So shout out to the Seahawks, man. They're going to have to pay some players now. JSN's hitting that contract extension. A couple dudes on the defensive side that have now earned their name and right to get more money. I don't think this was a Cinderella story. I think, as I said, the most complete team. But shout out Sam Darnold, man. And you know what? As a Bears fan, I'm happy to see the Vikings suffer a little bit too, knowing that they let this man walk. So congratulations to them. I have nothing but great things to say about Mike McDonald, man. He turned this team around in 2 years, really in 1 year, with the Geno Smith turnover. But also shout out Clint Kubiak, man. And he deserves to get a head coaching job, because this offense outside of JSN was not prolific, but he got them to be efficient, not make mistakes, and just continue to move the ball down the field. And the best kicker in the league, man. It's just a complete team either way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we were talking about last week where we're talking about the Seattle team. I think we all agree, this was the most complete team in football, where number 1 in points allowed in the regular season, and they're top 3 in offense scoring. So you're talking about both sides of the ball where they are top 3 at, which is pretty rare. Usually teams are dominant on one side, offense or defense, and on the other side, they're not as good. This team was top 3 in both on points scored and points allowed. So you mentioned, like, you were right, like with like Sam Darnold, game manager. He's got to be a game manager. That's all you had to do. And on the other side of the ball, Drake May turned the ball over 3 times with a fumble loss, 2 interceptions. Like Drake May in the entire season, he's never thrown 2 picks this year. He does it in the Super Bowl now. So that's pretty much the nail in the coffin where you're giving the other team possessions where they couldn't even get the ball to the red zone in the first week. Like they couldn't even move the ball. There was 3 and out, barely getting 10 to 15 yards of offense where like they kind of just like didn't even go for it. Some plays were like it was like a 3rd and long. They just ran the ball and just like, okay, we're gonna punt it over to the other team. Like I didn't really see them like believe in their offense where, okay, it's 3rd and long. Let's go for it. Let's throw a deep ball. They just sometimes just ran the ball. It's more of a game of possession where it was a defensive battle, as we mentioned. Obviously in the 4th, Patriots scored 2 touchdowns, but the game was pretty much over where the game was really decided, like pretty much. So I feel like Seattle definitely took their breaks off. So for me personally, this game was an ass whooping at another level where it was a defensive front line that absolutely shredded them. But Kenneth Walker, what he did, because the game plan was pretty much like we're gonna stop JSN and the receivers and those big plays. So we're gonna let's see what the rushing game can do. And Kenneth Walker wasn't getting like 2 to 3, 4 yards. He got like explosive runs where he got 25 yards rushing. So I think Kenneth Walker definitely deserved that MVP, even at the running back position, because he made some big plays where Sam Darnold didn't need to make big plays because he had Kenneth Walker going rush for 130 plus yards. But yeah, rushing the ball and the defense, and as we mentioned, this is a game going to be decided by turnovers, and pretty much the quarterback on the other side had 3 turnovers and the other one had 0. So that's pretty much the game right there, because I think Patriots defense played their butt off. I don't know, secondary Gonzalez, that is a special defensive player. Because I didn't know much about this guy, but watching, I was like, he prevented multiple potential touchdowns. Because like Sam Darnold threw some beautiful balls to Shaheed and JSN, but him diving and putting that effort and blocking those potential touchdown plays, like I was like, man, this Patriots defense was balling, but the offense just couldn't help them at all. And obviously put the defense in bad situation with the multiple turnovers. And obviously they had 29 points, but I feel like this is not the defensive fault of the Patriots that they lost this game. They were playing their butt off while the offense kept letting them down. And I don't know, even some of the offensive play call was just too passive, like just a lack of belief in your system. And Drake May, obviously, like he was too young, man. Like some of those Sam Darnold ghosts, he saw some of those ghosts too, man. I feel like he got some of those ghosts. Like I feel like Drake May was getting sped up a little too more, not as on composure. And I think it's pretty much expected for a quarterback because he's still in his 2nd year, obviously. So this is the early start of his career, but this is going to sting a little because you can ask Joe Burrow. It is not guaranteed you get an opportunity to make the Super Bowl. So when you make these Super Bowls, you got to take full advantage. And obviously, even he can admit he probably played one of his worst games of the season. So he is the reason they lost. He is the reason they lost. It was not the defensive fault. Even some of the skill position, like
the O-line.
Obviously, the O-line. Obviously, he didn't get much time to throw the football. But it was that O-line, and it was the quarterback's fault of why they got absolutely destroyed in this game where Seattle proved to us. Because I remember when that Seattle versus Rams, pretty much in my mind, these are the 2 best teams in football. Like we watched the 2 best teams in football go back and forth. We saw elite quarterback play. We saw both sides making great plays. And when I got to the page, I'm like, yeah, Seattle's definitely favored 4.5 points. They well deserve that. So they showed us that they were the best team in football this year. And Sam Darnold's a Super Bowl champion, which is still a crazy thing to say, man. Like in that draft class, he's the guy that got the Super Bowl before MVPs like Lamar, Josh Allen, starting quarterbacks like Baker Mayfield. So I'm like, Sam Darnold was the guy to get that Super Bowl ring before all those great quarterbacks, which is a crazy story. That is an insane story.
Yeah, man. Sam Darnold is a true warrior. It's a testament to his, again, like I said last week, mental toughness. he definitely, when he ends up retiring and ends up going on the beach somewhere and spending his millions and doing whatever, the story for him that you could produce if somebody would have been like, hey, we want to make a story about your journey through the NFL, starting in college or whatever, getting drafted and going from there. Like, that is a story that you could tell over and over to someone who's struggling with whatever they're going through, especially as a quarterback in the league. If you got benched or had a couple of bad games in the playoffs where you're really down on yourself, that book, that Sam Darnold book you could read, would be something that you should cherish and possibly take a lot from, because most QBs, regardless of I know he's a high pick, but regardless of where you're drafted, when you've had as many chances that he's had early in his career, where it wasn't like, oh, we don't think you're good enough, you're not playing. Like, he was playing a lot and just wasn't doing anything. And to be honest, what changed it was him going to Kyle Shanahan. Shanahan is basically the guru with quarterbacks. That's what he does. So now I know Trey Lance was standing, but even still, like, he knows what to do with that position to get you right mentally, get you, in your strengths. And I would say that his last name has a lot of clout in the league. So I'm pretty sure when he went to Kevin O'Connell, they were having conversations and he's like, look, this guy's got the goods. You just got to do this. You got to run this. You got to have this for him. And we saw what happens when he got. Now, I wouldn't say Shanahan. I want to take that back. I don't think Shanahan was telling Kevin O'Connell what to do, because I think Kevin O'Connell was good by himself. But Kevin O'Connell definitely probably had conversations with Shanahan. And eventually, when he got to Minnesota, that's when he started to blossom. And now in Seattle, it's just a crescendo. Like, that's the end of it. It's just the machination. And the best thing about it is like, he didn't do anything crazy. And that is, for a quarterback like him, that is the perfect, like, this I'm not saying it's perfect in terms of like he played perfect and he was great, but it was just like that script of how he played is how he needed to play, because that's his skill set. That's not to say that he can't make crazy throws, because he can, but it's almost like when I was watching Sam, and I know Sam obviously is got to higher heights in terms of his quarterback play in the NFL, but it's like if Jameis were to have like a head coach that could like corral him into playing like Sam Darnold, like he would have that type of, I feel like, progression and maybe get to a Super Bowl. Like, because Jameis's problem is he was just a gunslinger, and sometimes that's just your mentality, but like the talent to make all the throws. And it's the reason why Jameis is still in the league and can play, because he has talent. I just feel like as he progressed throughout the league, he just was just throwing 30 picks, 30 touchdowns, and it was a lot of just going all over the place. And it's also, too, what it taught me was there's a bunch of ways to skin a cat in terms of the quarterback position. But I also came to this realization, because I was battling with it when I was thinking about it after the game. I was like, well, man, like, you're getting guys like Sam Darnold. I know Drake May's early in his career, but if you're getting guys like that, like to the Super Bowl, and Drake May didn't play well in the playoffs, but he has a well-built team around him, and then Sam Darnold, who just, managed the game, won a Super Bowl, like maybe that's the way to build. But then I started thinking more about it. It's like, how many franchises are the Patriots and the Seahawks? Like, those are two elite front offices for the most part. Mm-hmm. So it's like, there's not a lot of franchises that can do that. So that method of thinking, you can get a Sam Darnold or like Sam Darnold light, you still kind of got to have a dude at quarterback, I believe. Like, I think the Seahawks are kind of going to start tricking front office. Like, well, maybe we could just go get a guy that's a backup, or a guy who's like, I mean, who's the hot, like, what's this guy? What's the guy? Malik Willis. Like, go get him and just build an insane team around him. Maybe you could, but you have to be like flawless. Because like you said, if you just go down like that Seahawks roster from whenever, I don't know how many years. I mean, Mike Donald's only been there like 2 years, but just seeing their recent draft, like they literally hit every pick, not just, oh, that's a good pick. They hit it out of the park. Yep. And they were really good at like getting free agents. And just that GM is, to me, he's basically gone to like number one now. Like he's the number one slot for now. And I know it's recency bias, but it's just, he's absolutely destroyed free agency and he's killed the draft. So my concern would be like, if I'm looking further into the whole, like, into the future, it's like GM's thinking like, well, maybe we can just kind of get like a guy who's good and we'll see if we can win. It's like, your front office is not as good as us. So, but that aside, I think Sam Darnold proved that he's a guy who can be a starting quarterback for a Super Bowl winning franchise. And I got to give credit to that. Like I said, with Drake May, moments too big. I know a lot of people are going to run right to like his shoulder was hurt, whatever. Like if you were watching the broadcast, and I watched it after, like the extended highlights, I watched it after and was just watching just the Patriots drives, and like I think what is it, like 6 or 7 times they punted in a row, and it's just their offense was stagnant. But the times when Drake May had receivers that he can get the ball to, it did not look good at all. Like it looked like he just could not judge it. It's almost like he was trying to guide the ball, like not even put the ball on the money. And like I said, I'm not a quarterback, but it just looked like he wasn't on point. And then when I look back and looked at his stats, like, I mean, obviously he played a bunch of great defenses, but I mean, 56% completion percentage was nothing to write home about. But even doing a little bit more research, when, you know, you brought up earlier, P-Bush, about the schedule, winning teams, he was 11-11, had a bunch of turnovers. Like, Drake May obviously was really good this year, but for him to play as bad as he did in the Super Bowl, that performance was so bad that it makes you start wondering, like, okay, he's a good quarterback, but like, how good can he be? Because I almost want to guarantee that we will never see a quarterback performance that bad ever again in the Super Bowl, ever. I don't think we'll see a performance that bad. Like missing throws, turnovers, it almost is impossible to do that. Because normally when the quarterback that gets you the Super Bowl, they're normally pretty good. So like, and if they're not good, they play like how Sam Darnold played, which he is good, or like how Trent Dilfer played, like clean football. Like he did none of it. Yep. It literally almost looked like it was a guy, like an imposter playing Drake May. He just did not look good. The only good throws he made were like in that 2-minute drill kind of, where he threw into Mac Hollins, but those even felt like just not hospital balls, but like just throw it up, Mac's down there, and he just made a play. It didn't feel like he was like that was like elite throws. So it was concerning that he looked that bad, and that's why a lot of people were coming out saying he's like maybe he's injured. So it's like I guess you can say he was, but that performance was because they could have won the game. Like I don't know who brought it up, but their defense was in it.
And Sean, it was 19-7, and they had the ball at midfield. It was 19-7 with like 8.5 minutes to go, and he just throws up that lollipop
triple coverage
in the middle of the field in triple coverage. Now I see, if you go back and watch it, no one was open. This, and I'm not trying to bring up the comparison, man, but people shit on Caleb Williams for his completion. Wow. Caleb throws that ball away. You don't get sacked, and you don't throw up that ball.
He probably runs. And try to go get 4 or 5
and Drake
yards.
usually would run, but he was so flustered with the pressure that he was to your point. He was seeing some Sam Darnold ghosts, man. He really was. But his decision making was concerning.
Zoo brought up the point. All this, I hate. It's almost like predictable. Every time the loser of the Super Bowl and they have a decent age quarterback, it's always a narrative of, well, they have a chance. Again. I don't think Patrick Mahomes should be coming back next year that quickly because I don't want him to re-injure it, and it's like I want him to be fully healthy. But he's probably coming back, and he probably wants to be back week 1 or 2, which I think is insane, but he might. You got Lamar, you got Josh, you got Joe. This whole conversation of just thinking like they're getting back, dude, like that just doesn't happen in this league. The Patriots are the only franchise who did that consistently, and that's because they had the greatest player, and the Chiefs.
Patriots and Chiefs.
But 2 generational players. And I don't think Drake May is on that plane.
Yeah.
So, and you're in the division with Josh Allen. So Josh Allen's just, it's done. He's over. Like it's just done because Drake May got to the Super Bowl early. So to me, you got to capitalize on these situations. It's not to say that, you know, any second year quarterback would have done any better. But again, I hate to do comparisons, but I just don't fathom Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels playing that bad in the Super Bowl. I just don't see it. They would probably just stop throwing the ball and just like playing sandlot football at that point. They would just try to make plays, even if the offensive line couldn't block. They would figure out how to make some plays. Drake May just felt like he was just like, I'm just not going to make mistakes. I'm just going to get sacks. And I know the offensive line was bad, but to your point, man, when he had the ability to make throws, it was just like, ugh. So, you know, I think the Patriots overall, though, if you're a fan, you're looking at it like, yeah, Drake May was awful, but like our defense is going to be set up. I think The defense is going to continue to be elite for a while. And I think, even though we didn't really see it, I think Travion, even though he had some bursts, he could be a dude next year. And Ramondre, I think if he comes back, whatever, they could be a nice 1-2 punch to help out Drake. But again, just want to give credit to Seattle. They were the most complete team the entire year. And to Drew's point, the Super Bowl happened in the NFC Championship game. It just kind of sucks that was an actual Super Bowl matchup because that would have just been legendary.
That was a classic.
It just would have been legendary.
And Sam stepped up. That was his Super Bowl moment. He had his Super Bowl game.
That was
he earned his stripes. He earned his stripes there.
And just imagine if they would have gave Drake May the MVP.
Oh my God!
And he went and did that.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
I know
by one vote, by one guy that voted for Justin Herbert.
Oh my! Okay, that was just shameful. That is shameful.
You should
didn't go to Drake May. That would have been the most Cinderella damn turning into a pumpkin MVP, man.
Yeah, that guy should lose his MVP vote. You can't just do stuff like that. What are you doing?
Well, it paid off in the end. They gave it to the
better. They did. Matt Stafford definitely earned it. And you watched the NFC Championship game, he was dealing. They just ran out of time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think going into next year, it's going to be a lot more. This Super Bowl matchup, I will say, even though it was boring and there was no storylines, I do feel like going into next year, it's just creating more narratives for like those two teams of like which direction they go. And the teams that didn't capitalize this year, storylines getting behind that. So I guess that is a benefit, which, I mean, the NFL doesn't need storylines as the NFL, but it is always nice to see quarterbacks because, I mean, the shift has happened. I think there's going to be more matchups like this where it's going to be teams with quarterbacks that we know and that are like good. And you'll probably have some elite quarterbacks in there, but there's going to be more of a transition of the like guard of like quarterbacks who we normally think, because that's pretty much done. Like once Aaron Rodgers is gone, like it's basically the but like the newer. Yeah. Like the Trevor Lawrences, Justin Herberts, Lamar. Heck, you're looking at Lamar, Josh, and Joe and Patrick. They're about 3 years away from like, okay, all right, guys, now we got to bring in the new crowd. Like it's because they're like late 20s now. I feel like all of them are like either mid or late 20s. I think most of them are. Like Patrick's the only one that's the oldest, right? He's like 30 something.
30.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think like Josh is like late 20s. Lamar is late 20s. Joe might be late 20s too, because I think Joe's like he was at Ohio State and LSU. So, but yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I am excited for at least if you're looking at a football fan, the defenses look great. So like, they look really good and they're young.
That was insane.
Yeah. But yeah, so we'll see about that. It is sad, but I mean, if you're a true NFL fan, you know that February is a little bit of a let's get our bearings, and then now March comes around with combine and then April draft. So you're only going to have about 2 or 3 weeks of like rest period, and then you're going to start getting in and talking.
And then mock draft starting in May.
Not for me, but hey, go ahead if you want to. Go ahead and get all that. Like I said, I'll get back to my post. Well, I think this year I was in.
This would be Dynasty. This is Dynasty, Sean. Dynasty, because I care about the rookies.
You got to be year round.
Yep.
Yeah, you got to be year round with that. But salute to the Seattle Seahawks, becoming a little bit of the standard over there on the West Coast, them and the Rams.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
We'll see about that. Yeah, for sure. So switching our gears to NBA. For the most part, I think all of us have been watching the big games on, I guess you would say, Peacock, or some of the Sunday standalone games we've been watching from time to time with football season being in the front view. But now that football's over, we're shifting our focus to two of the better teams in the NBA, and one specific team that's actually a number one seed in the Detroit Pistons, and then the Spurs, who have Wemby and a bunch of just assets that surround him. So we kind of want to get into the conversation of, assuming both of these teams make the playoffs, who was set up to make a deeper playoff run? And Zoo, who's your pick for that?
This is such an interesting question because both of these are in the rising teams where last year 500 level ball club, lucky to be playoff play-in type level, and they took that step. Because I remember in the beginning of the regular season when we were talking about who's going to be like the team that makes that big step that surprised me. I think we mentioned the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah.
I think multiple people mentioned Detroit Pistons. Didn't know they would be the number one seed, but we saw it on paper when we saw that last playoff series. I saw Kate Cunningham and I saw Jalen Durham. I'm like, they have some guys where You smash some draft picks in the lottery, you build that foundation, and then you get some vets in there. That's pretty much hard to build a roster. You got to get 1 to 2 foundational young pieces, and then the complementary players. There's a bunch of vets out there that you can just get and have those guys fit in. But Cade Cunningham's really taken that step to where this guy's a 25-10 every night, and he plays both sides of the court. Like this guy actually tries on defense where there's not a lot of stars I can say they try on both sides of the court, especially defensively. So this is the guy I remember. He was compared as a Luka Doncic guy, but the difference between him and Luka, what I love Luka is he plays defense. Like he takes defense very, very seriously. Where he takes the guy's best defenders on the other side of the court right now. So for me personally, right now, I'm looking at the roadmap in the East versus the West, where it's a bloodbath over there. Even though San Antonio do got OKC's number, something about the matchup. Victor Wembanyama takes that Chet Holmgren matchup, actually personally. I'm he actually hates this dude. I don't know what's
finally.
I like it. This is what I need. I need some animosity where players are not buddies. When he's like Chet Holmgren, I ain't worried about Chet Holmgren. I don't worry about their best player, SGA. I don't want nobody worry about Chet Holmgren. So he does take that animosity personally over there. But for me personally, I'm San Antonio, 70 win percentage. But you're looking at the road over there. You got OKC. You got a potential second round in Denver. These are matchups where I'm I've been the Denver guy for a while. So I'm that matchup against them, I'm going to definitely lean Denver over at San Antonio right now. Personally, especially with Denver's role players over there pretty much showing that. Okay, it's a complete roster over there right now.
Yep.
So based on just the Eastern Conference, where I'm just you got teams like Toronto and Philadelphia, with all the injuries, Orlando, Miami. You're looking at
Orlando,
one of the most disappointing teams this
year. Yes,
very, very disappointing. Because they in that play in. You don't trade all those draft picks, first round unprotected picks for Bane to be down there with Miami and Atlanta, play-in royalty right there. Those teams are always in the play-in. If you're Orlando right now, that is a very shameful year this year. Even 28-24, they're just a very middling record. But if you look at the rest of the roster, you got Boston Celtics without their best player. Cleveland Cavaliers had to make a move to get James Harden because they didn't believe in that roster where we got Darius Garland, bad foot, too small. They're trying to extend Donovan Mitchell. It was a pretty desperate trade, and we're okay, this is our Hail Mary. We're going to get a Harden. We know what he does in the playoffs. But in the regular season, they're going to win some games with James Harden right now. Yep. So a lot of teams without true belief. And I would say, I think coming in the year, I had the Knicks as the team where I believe this was the best roster in the East. And they've been pretty up and down. They had an 8-game winning streak, but they've been very up and down too this season also, where 64 win percentage in the Eastern Conference, where the bottom feeders in the Eastern Conference, they were straight up tanking right now. So the Eastern Conference is an absolute joke at the bottom level right now. So there's not a truly, truly elite team down there. So I think Detroit right now, they have a road path to make it to the conference finals, and a pretty easy road path for them. And I believe in Cade Cunningham since he was drafted. I remember we talking about this guy in college where I'm this guy is just so obvious of how good this guy's going to be. And now the numbers are backing up, and now the wins are finally coming where, remember, this team was winning was one of the worst teams of all time. I was why is this team so bad? This team is super, super talented. It's still pretty much the same exact roster. Now you got some shooters, Duncan Robinson, Tobias Harris, and guys like that, but they're not game-changing players.
Tobias.
Cade Cunningham.
That's my guy, Tobias. Still getting the check.
Filler guys.
Good vet.
Veteran, replaceable dudes. But they're helping. Yeah. You need those guys to win games. But you got Cade at the point, Duran at the center position, and you got filler veteran guys right now that could shoot the ball, play defense, and play within a system where it's all on Cade's shoulders right now. I love this roster construction, and now the wins are coming. They're 21-6 at home. That is an elite record. They're absolutely dominating right now. And it's not fluky. They have a point differential of 7.7, which is also best in the Eastern Conference right now. So it's no fluke of them winning 75% of their games right now. So for me, with the 1 seed, the easiest path to the conference finals, I think that's the expectation they should have for themselves, even though this team is super, super young. You're looking at Thompson twin right now. That guy is still super, super raw. So you're talking about guys are still ascending right now and the road in the East, give me that pathway over the Western Conference because, my Lord, I'm telling you, okay, if you play in OKC or Denver, man, like those teams are just scary teams. You're playing against MVPs. In the Eastern Conference, there are no MVPs.
Finals MVPs.
Yeah, exactly. And you look at the Eastern Conference, there's 0 MVPs. The MVP is Giannis, and he's in the lottery.
Jaylen Brown Finals MVP.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Jaylen Brown.
I don't know if you saw my face, Zoo, when you were like Celtics without their best player. I'm like, are they?
Nah.
You know, because look, good. To be honest, that's the only team I'm genuinely scared about if I'm the Pistons. They could beat the Knicks.
Yeah, they got experience too.
Because I'm sorry, but Jalen Brunson is getting exposed on the defensive side of the ball against multiple players. You know,
he's a mini Luka, bro. He's a little bit of a mini
Luka. He was baby Luka when they were on the Mavs. They were running the same exact offense.
And exactly. Heliocentric, right? You know, we're going to bring that back again. Here we go. But, you know, and that's my point is Cade is kind of the complete opposite of that. Yes, he needs the ball in his hands, but he's facilitating and making plays. He's not trying to average 32 a game. He can give you 32 on any given night easily. But he's also like, I need to get my guys going because I need them to respect other guys on the court. Like, I think, you know what they did, Zoo? And I was thinking more about this when they made the trade with the Bulls, because obviously we were like, why would they trade Jaden Ivey? Young player. They never really gave him a chance. But now they can just rotate out one sniper and put in another between Herter and Duncan Robinson. I mean, it's just like they're trying to create a finals-worthy team because we've talked about this. It's depth. It's defensive efficiency, which they are top 5 in. A lot of people aren't talking about that. They have a great head coach. JB Bickerstaff was the one that really turned around the Cavs there for a couple of years, right? And then gets the job in Detroit. I think he's got a good staff with him. I really like Asar Thompson. He's very raw, to your point. I think he's still a step below his brother down there in Houston, but he's still a very solid, kind of a hard hat, lunch pail guy with a high level of athleticism. But you already made the points here. Duren, unbelievable. He's a great big man, perfect complement to a guy like Cade. And I just think the matchup for Cade, the matchup for another point guard to Cade is like another center trying to deal with Victor Wembanyama, right? It's just a different level at their respective positions that I think a lot of teams have a hard time matching up. And same thing goes for Wemby. You just talked about Chet Holmgren. If I was Wembanyama, man, I mean, they're both super skinny, but I would not be scared of Chet Holmgren either, man. I mean, he's a good player, and I'll give him credit for that. And he is a champion. But Wembanyama is a different animal, man. And there's a reason that teams try to tank for this man for prepping almost like 2 years in advance, damn near. And you're looking on the Spurs side, Stephon Castle, huge leap this year. I think he had 45 against the
40
points. There you go. And here's the thing: they kind of switch him coming in as a starter and off the bench. It kind of just rotates. And De'Aaron Fox, great quality, veteran leadership, if you want to call it that at this point. But he only really has the one playoff experience against Steph Curry in what was that 2022 with that
game 7-game series.
7-game series. That's really his only instance in the playoffs in his entire career. Wembanyama hasn't been there. They play in last year, right?
Yeah.
And then obviously Castle, Vassell as well. Harrison Barnes might be the most seasoned dude on that team, and we all know how we feel about Harrison Barnes. So, and I know the Pistons are not like savvy playoff veterans, right? They're also a young team, but they did get some experience last year against a very good team. So, I think they've just seen it a little bit more. I think Cade is the most mature out of any player on these two teams by far. He just looks like he's determined. I think there's no other way to put it. That he just looks like, I think you said it, Zoo, like you want some animosity out of Wembanyama. You need some serious ballers in the NBA nowadays because everyone's buddy-buddy. Everyone's kind of like, Luka's smiling, whatever. Cade Cunningham goes out there and is like, I'm just going to beat you tonight. And maybe it's the coaching staff. Maybe it's, everyone buying in and them getting wins and seeing what it's paying off. But they're just locked in as a team, and it's showing. And yes, they're in the East, so I'm going to lean the Pistons as well. I just think their path is a lot easier. I would be concerned playing against the Celtics. We don't know if Tatum's going to try and come back. I'm not sure if there's been any news on that. But either way, that is still a legitimate team with a legitimate coach, legitimate front office that is putting together pieces to at least give them a chance without one of their two best players, however you want to put that. And I just think that To your point, they do. The Spurs, on the other hand, have the Thunder's number. But I'd be nervous if I had to go play against Jokic, man. I mean, to your point, here's the thing. They need Peyton Watson healthy. That's a big one. He's been a great revelation for that. For that
big step this year.
He's out a month, I think, with a hamstring injury.
Yeah, dude, everybody getting the hamstring injuries.
But you know what? Get it now. Get it now. And then give yourself a little bit of extra time. Hold a top 4 seed in the West. You'll at least have home court for first round, potentially second, depending on how it shakes out. But the Nuggets, I think, are a matchup for the Spurs as well. Some of that has to do with inexperience. Wembanyama, we got to see how he lasts if they were to make a playoff run on the injury front as well. So, I do think that their run would be a lot more difficult. You can't even really count out teams like the Rockets, the Timberwolves, more so the Timberwolves, because they have some experience there, even though they've made some moves and such. They've been there, man.
Figure it out, though.
They got to figure it out, but they at least had the experience and have been pressured a lot more and won some big series in the last few years, even though they haven't been able to get over the hump. So, yeah, man, this is more so a West versus East question, but I just think that the Pistons are a little bit more disciplined and defensive team, and I think that translates better than anything else in the NBA when it comes to playoffs, because we all know it's a completely different league in the regular season. And then especially as you get into the semifinal round of the respective conference playoff matchups.
Yeah, I'm more likely to side with the Pistons, basically, again, because of the path. But I will say there are some teams in the East, like I know Boston looks like the best team because of the record. I think playoff-wise, when it would be matches where you're playing them every other day, I do think that would get a little tougher in the playoffs for the Celtics, just because if Jaylen Brown doesn't bring it, it could get that second option. I don't know who they would, especially. I mean, I don't even know. I guess Derek White would be the guy, and he's just basically a movement shooter, Vooch maybe. But I think they would be a little bit more of an easier team to play in the playoffs versus maybe just in a regular season game, and also too. I would be a little wary of Toronto. They got a lot of big switchable pieces. Mm-hmm. They're just with Scotty, and I know Quickly is like a guard off the bench, but Scotty, RJ, Brandon Ingram's been playing really well this year.
Yep.
And my guy, gotta give him a shout out, CMB from South Carolina, just 6'7" guy that's just energy, defensive matchup, They got a lot of switchable guys. So, no, I don't think they could beat the Pistons, but I think that could be a difficult series because they just have the bodies to match up. But, yeah, man, I think with the Spurs, youth would just be the only reason why I don't think they get as far, because if you tell me if both teams play to their apex, I think the Spurs could win the championship. If everybody on the Spurs plays to their apex, including their rookies, they're winning the championship. Mm-hmm. Again, though, in the West, Jokic, seasoned veteran, Jamal Murray's been there. Like I said, even Houston. I know Kevin Durant gets a lot of, at least from me, flack about hadn't done much in the playoffs, but it's that's still a guy who's been through wars. You got a very talented center in Şengün who, I mean, I'm picking Wemby every time, but he's skilled enough to hold his own, and that could be a troubled matchup. Like you said, Timberwolves, Gobert, his fellow Frenchman, he's going to be amped for that matchup if they play him.
Yeah,
he's going to be okay, we're gonna forget the defensive game plan. I'm blocking him 1-on-1, and then you're gonna have Ant-Man who shows up in the playoffs. So it's just a path, man. If the Spurs were to get through that, it would be, I don't want to say a miracle, but it would be
a lot of game sevens.
A hell of an accomplishment. Yeah, a lot of game sevens, and by the time you get to the finals, your legs are probably dead. So for me, Detroit, again, they have every type of level of what you want for a championship team. So you have the shooting, you added that with Herter and Duncan. You have the guys who are wings who are going to be able to guard any position and be able to score on the break. And you have Cade, who's going to be the point man. And I do think also that there is a possibility that after this All-Star break, that there could be, I know they're probably going to end up being an #1 seed in the East. There could be a chance if Cade keeps playing at this level a little bit better, he could win an MVP. And I think if he has that momentum going into the playoffs,
yeah,
it could carry him to the finals. Like it could be, and I know I'm saying, yeah, of course he goes to the finals in the East, but I'm saying that if he were to get to the finals, then who knows? Like who knows?
Yeah.
Like would I place a lot of money on it? No, but I think I could get really good odds if I wanted to in terms of him playing well in the finals and doing whatever. Because the one thing we're learning too about the NBA that is just bearing itself out, at least over the last, I think, 4 years, is that it's starting to become a little bit more like we don't know. Because, like I said, the Pacers just got in the playoffs last year and got hot. Yeah. They just got hot and just was blitzing everybody.
And they were one game away from winning it all. Like, it was a 50-50 game, and then the best player told their kids. But they were in a game 7 against the prohibitive favorite in the Thunder. Yeah. No one gave them a chance. But they were in a coin flip game until the injury, and obviously that derailed it. But they could have pulled a miracle.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that would have been a miracle if they won it all.
And their team had what you would probably say is what the Detroit Pistons is now. Outside of maybe Miles, the center from last year, Miles Turner being more of a finesse center, Durant being like more physical down low. But like Cade Cunningham, which I think he's a little bit better than Tyrese, I think, as an overall player. But like their centerpiece guy, and then just a bunch of switchable guys. Like who was it? Benedict Mathurin. What's the 3-point sniper that went off against the Knicks? I can't remember his name.
Nesmith.
He's like a
Nesmith.
Nesmith, McConnell, Nembhard, just dudes.
That Nesmith game was ridiculous, by the way. I forgot about
just that. Going off. So you mean to tell me didn't Duncan Robinson have a game like
that? Yeah, Duncan Robinson could do that. Yeah, Duncan Robinson went off.
Yeah, so you mean to tell me that can't happen? So I almost look at this question as like who would get farther. I think the Pistons, obviously, because of path, but I do think if the Pistons were to get to the finals, they would. Whoever that comes out the East, I think they would play with them. Because a lot of these teams now, like OKC obviously has the highest level of like role players and their high-end talent. Like there's almost like they're like max, like if it's a 99 max, they're like at 96, 97 for every one of those positions for the most part. But like a lot of these teams that are being built through the draft and these teams that were like not good at all 2 years ago, but now they've gotten their players and they're starting to get better, like Detroit. Their guys are like in that 88, 89, and like Cade is now maybe 95, 96 overall. But like, I think confidence is a big thing. And if he were to, because there's a chance, like I just looked at the MVP odds, like it's plus 2,000.
I just put 5.
It's slim. But I mean, we always talk about the NBA and narratives, man. Like
it's a narrative award.
In Detroit, like there could be a possibility. It's slim, but it's a possibility. But if he were to get that could push him into the playoffs and get him playing at a level to where now it's in the finals. And to your point, where how we're looking at Indiana last year, now Detroit's playing OKC, and it's like, wait, Detroit's up 2-1 on OKC, and that could be possible because OKC, they could look at it like, well, I mean, we won it last year. We won 7 games. Maybe they're tired. Like, who knows? And Detroit definitely would be more hungry because there's a lot of guys on that team who've been losing forever, and now they're in the grasp of playing in the finals. That could change a lot of stuff. So my answer is Detroit, obviously, and I just like the 1-2 punch with him and Durant. It's just they're going to be a duo that's going to be nice as long as everybody gets paid when they're supposed to get paid. They're going to be a nice duo for years to come.
Yep.
And it's just funny thinking about Durant and how the progression he's had because I remember when him and Imani Bates came out, and I remember they both went to Memphis, and everybody was talking about Imani Bates, and then Durant like declared, and Imani kind of just like went to another college, and like Durant just became way better. It's like. That's why it's just like basketball is so weird. Like it's rare, like not rare, because basketball is more accurate with like if you're the top player in high school, you're probably gonna be the top player in the NBA. But sometimes it's not even about like that. It's just like how does like a skill set? It's like fit. Like how do your body, like your whole makeup, how do you fit into the style of the NBA? And Durant at the time, like he kind of had a little bit of skill. And the thing that's weird about Durant is like he's a burly guy, but he kind of has a little bit of like wiggle where he's not like just ground pound back to the basket. Like he can move a little bit and like dribble. So that makes him versatile. And like I said, he's an all-star. So shout out to their front office. I want to say
not Joe Dumars.
Bickerstaff.
Yeah, not Joe Dumars who made one of the worst trades in NBA history last year.
He's about to make the Atlanta Hawks.
And it was not hindsight. I remember at the time, I'm like, what is this guy spoke for Derek Queen? Really? Okay. What a gift.
And I don't envision a Detroit style progression with New Orleans. Until Zion gets out of there and they get their picks for him, that'll be when maybe you'll see
Chicago.
I love Zion, but that dude is just man. The guy that good cannot be averaging 6 rebounds a game when you're that athletic, that strong, that powerful.
Well, I think the athleticism, he's got about 2 more years of that. It's
like
that's waiting
it should have been the modern day Charles Barkley, but dude just
nope.
That's waiting too.
Instead of gambling issues, he's got food issues, man. That's what he's got.
Food and women.
Food and women.
Food and women, man.
The downfall of a lot of men, not just Zion.
Absolutely.
So, I got to highlight something. You guys mentioned this. I didn't even think about it. Cade Cunningham for MVP. That didn't even cross my mind, but
he's third.
I know. In my mind, I'm like, the narrative of Detroit having the best record in the NBA, better than the Oklahoma City Thunder. I can see voters be like, yo, Cade's team is not as good as Shea's team. Like, objectively. Like, Shea's got Chet Holmgren's an all-star. Jalen Williams won an all-star last year. He was all-NBA last year. He got Alex Caruso, all these elite role players. You look down in Detroit, like, Duran's a nice player, but he doesn't really have, like, a perennial all-star next to him. Even, like, the role players, those guys they didn't have won anything yet. So you can make the narrative of them. If they win, if they're number one in the entire league, that's the key. They got to have
little
the best
Derrick Rose. It's the Derrick Rose.
You can make a really, really good argument that the Cade is the MVP of the league because what he's done for that Detroit franchise where they got the number 1 pick for a reason.
Dead.
They were a terrible franchise.
Plus 2,000.
Yeah, not gonna lie. I think
really good odds.
I already placed a bet when you said that.
I think Jokic missed too many games because he might not even make All NBA because of the game limit that you have to hit. So if it's between Shea and they might want to look at a new guy.
Yeah, who was behind Cade? Who was behind Cade? I'm trying to remember. Luka, not happening.
Yeah, Luka, and I love Luka, but not this year. Not this year.
Anthony Edwards, if they played better.
He's the value play at plus 2,000.
Cade for MVP. I'm like, I can see the narrative. I
thought he'd be like plus 900 to 1,000, but 2,000 in third place of it.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
If he wins the number 1 seed, man.
Yeah,
and that's very possible in this East. Because to your point, I don't know if you made this point, but now, like I said, after the trade deadline, lines are being drawn in the sand. We are now either going for it all or we're tanking for this draft. So, like you said, the Utah situation, Utah's getting blasted for it, but there's way more teams that's going to be doing that. And to your point, you're just going to be able to stack wins. And also, before we close, remember there was just there was a conversation with Cade Cunningham and Jalen Green. Remember that? That was a thing for a little bit.
Not even cool.
What? Why was that ever a thing? I guess because Jalen was talking junk to him, but that was crazy how that was.
Scores a little more, but not really anymore.
Yeah. It's just crazy how both of those shifted. But Cade, to my point when I was talking about recruiting rankings, he was always the number 1 guy in that class. I think he was in the same class as Scotty too. So
it was a good draft class.
Arturis would have taken Jalen Green. Let's just put it that way. The Bulls had that pick.
Oh man,
Sacramento with it, man.
But, we'll definitely see. I'm going to be excited to see how this finishes. Like I said, All-Star break is coming up. I don't know where it's at this year. Is it LA? I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah, because it's with the Clippers. That's why Steve Ballmer's punishment is getting delayed a little.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
To it dome, whatever.
Yep.
But so post All-Star break for most people, they're going to start getting into watching the NBA after they're getting a little fix with March Madness. So make sure you guys are tuned into the podcast, shifting a lot of our content and story mode and all that type of stuff that I put on these platforms are going to be primarily with the NBA, with a few things like I talked about earlier with the Combine and NFL Draft. So we'll see how that goes. Make sure you follow us on YouTube, Quantrell Knows, Spotify, Apple. Make sure you give us a 5-star review. Make sure you also, if you write a comment that is positive so we can get to the algorithms, Tyson Talks _ TikTok, Instagram. And for me, Zoo and Peebush, we are out.